Bonzi's Don Quixote, that I'm going to be tilting at windmills, that I don't know what I'm doing, I'm a little crazy, and all of those things are true. But this is a problem that needs to be addressed. We need to think about how we can go about changing the culture that we have, because global warming is really a huge problem. I've approached it from just trying to install smokeless stove because it's the health issue, you know, clean air, respiratory problems. So now as I look at the information more, I see that it's all connected to people using fuel, wood primarily. There's a huge problem with deforestation. Deforestation, because it's releasing all of this carbon, smoke, ash into the atmosphere, it doesn't disappear. It just goes up into the atmosphere and then circles around, making this warm blanket that we have that keeps the heat in. The heat then increases the temperature of the earth. The oceans have increased by a certain percentage you can measure. If it's only a degree, and because the earth is so carefully made, 1 degree of ocean temperature makes a great deal of difference in the energy of hurricanes. Hurricanes used to be at level 1 to 3. In the last 25 years, they've increased to 4 and 5. So there's a tremendous amount of energy being generated by 1 degree of temperature. I could have started off by saying, did you know that 4,500 acres an hour of rainforest are being lost? Then you say, that's nice. And I could have said, did you know that respiratory illness is one of the 4 main leading causes of death in the developing world? And you'd say, you know, that's too bad, that's so sad, so well. So, if I were to say, the new Myrtle Beach will be Fayetteville, could I get your attention? Because think of it, Myrtle Beach, Fayetteville, where would you rather go to the beach? I want to go to Myrtle Beach, not Fayetteville. But, did you know that if just the Greenland ice shelf were to melt, it would raise sea level by 23 feet? Now, I looked on the computer, the internet, to find out what the elevation of Myrtle Beach was. It's 30 feet. I don't believe that, because when I've been there, it doesn't look like it's on a bluff up above the ocean down there, 30 feet high. It looks like 10 feet would flood Myrtle Beach. And Fayetteville is 95 feet. If the Arctic caps were to melt, plus the glaciers and all the high mountains, the elevation, the rise in sea level will be over 100 feet. That is how we get to Fayetteville as being the new Myrtle Beach. When we say, let's party at the Rock, it might be Rockingham. It might not be NASCAR, it might be a beach party. So, the problem that I've addressed, or that I first got interested in, was the fact that primitive stoves, primitive fires, are one of the second leading causes. Fossil fuel is one of the first leading causes, but right behind that are these primitive fires that people are using to cook with. Did you know that there are a little over 6.5 billion people? Do you know that 3 billion of those people are going to use a primitive fire tonight? They're going to release tons of carbon, ash, smoke into the atmosphere, and it's going to go someplace. Yes, I know that we don't have that problem here, and somehow we think we live in a bubble, and we are immune to it, but we're not. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get excited about building smokeless stoves, because it will have an effect. Yes, it's hard to see how that one little thing can have a great deal of impact. But here's what I want to tell you, that if we don't address the problem, think of the land that will be lost in North Carolina. If Fayetteville or Rockingham is the new beach, there's a lot of farmland that's lost. What about the lowland of South Carolina, or the low country of South Carolina? What about half of Florida? What about the Gulf Coast? Where are we going to put all those people that have to retreat from the rising water? Where are we going to farm? How are we going to get the food? That's a problem that, even though I don't have to worry about 4,500 acres being logged off today every hour, I do have to worry about the rise in sea level. Global warming is a fact. Yes, you can say, well, the Earth normally goes through cycles, but I believe that our carbon-based fuel energy cycle is amping up the heat that would normally come in the cycles that we enjoy. So, what could we do? Well, the smokeless stove is one of the best because it's so simple, it's so low-tech, it's just a concrete box, and you insulate it with a little mud. But if you do that, you get a much hotter fire. If you get a hotter fire, Maureen, can I stop now? I'm not finished, but anyway, there's a hotter fire. Because it's a hotter fire, it burns the wood better. You have less particulates. You get rid of the smoke. If you vent it to the outside, the stove that we're using gets rid of 90% of the particulates in that particular fire. 90%. And because it's a hotter fire, you need less wood. There's a 60% savings in doing that. That's a really cool solution. It's simple, it can be low cost and high volume. How would you attack the problem of, did I mention 3 billion people tonight are going to cook over a primitive fire and release tons of ash, soot, in the atmosphere? Because it's a problem that while it doesn't affect me and I don't cook like that, there are a lot of people who are, and it's going to cause us a tremendous problem. So, what can we do? Well, we could join with Hillary Clinton because she's got a global alliance to build 100 million stoves for $50 million. That works out to $2 a stove, I think, if my math is right. But that's not the number that we're operating with when I'm trying to install stoves in Honduras. It's more like $100. So how's she going to get the cost down that low? I have no idea what she does. You can join a church like mine who's going and installing stoves. Habitat for Humanity, they've got a stove project in Guatemala. But there's a really cool little lady who lives in Eugene, Oregon, who's a Rotarian, by the way. But she went on a medical mission to Honduras and saw a child who had fallen into a fire, 2 years old, and burned her hands. At 18, she still didn't have the use of her hands. And she had to go to a doctor to get her hands, I think the skin just broke out. But she saw that there was a need for a safe fire. So she went home and searched the internet and found out a safe fire. And so, what she has done is she has decided that instead of building stoves, she's going to build stove factories. Think of it. Last year when I went on, the best year that I've had was 15 stoves. I went a week early this year so we could do 20, but we put in 40. We got so excited. We said, why don't we take 2 teams next year and put in 80? But this lady's stove factories will produce 250 stoves a month. 3 times what we're doing in a year. That would be a tremendous solution to a worldwide problem that we are going to face. So before my time runs out, let me tell you one thing. This is not a problem that concerns you right now, but if you don't believe that it's happening, what about the weather and the intensity of the storms? What's causing that? Is that an aberration, or is it the beginning of a weather pattern? What can we do? Well, we can get excited about helping others to build stoves, but first of all, the one thing you must do is care. And if you don't care, we will do nothing, and it will be to our peril. Mr. Toastmaster, I yield the floor.